The Nana Churcher Show, sponsored by MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
Welcome to the Nana Churcher Show. Today, I'm so privileged to be sitting down with a lady who is a mom. She's a teacher and running for councillor in her area. She's in the person of Mrs. Yvonne Lawson. Welcome to the show, Yvonne.
Thank you for having me.
4 years ago, Yvonne lost her first son to knife crime, and we want to get to know how it's been since that tragic day.
Yeah, well, as your mum yourself, obviously when you lose your son through such a traumatic event, it's very hard to get over it. You just go through a very intense pain, and you go through shock, and there's so many emotions that go through your mind as to why it has happened and why it happened to him, and you can never get over it.
You can never get over it. It's been something that's in the news about boys, especially, should I say boys, joining all these gangs. If I'm allowed to ask you, was he in any of the gangs?
No, actually, Godwin was not in a gang. He was very fortunate. He had a scholarship to go to Oxford United, so he wasn't actually living in London. On that particular night, he came to London and he had friends in Stamford Hill area, and he was obviously walking down on the road with his friends. There was a fight. He got involved in it to actually stop the fight, and that's how he unfortunately was knifed to death. So he had a focus.
He had a focus. But after that, 4 years after, you founded a foundation. It's Godwin Lawson Foundation. How did you come about that?
Yeah, I mean, when it does happen, you go through so many emotions, and there are negative energy and there are positive ones, and you wonder, obviously you want to jump over this hurdle. And for us, for me, my family, I think the foundation was something that we decided that we were going to do to positively take our energy, channel it in a positive direction. So the foundation has just been absolutely brilliant, knowing that we're using something that was so tragic, we're turning that into something that's really useful and making a difference.
So what is the foundation doing? What does it do?
Well, basically, Godwin Lawson Foundation is set up to help young youth, particularly in Tottenham and Enfield area. So we empower them, we do lots of training, a lot of skills workshop, and we inform the young people that there are better pathways that they can follow, and we serve like mentors to these young people who do need a bit of structure in their lives. So we do lots of workshops. We talk about the effects of gun and knife crime on society, on themselves, and we also do lots of tournaments, because obviously Godwin was a footballer, so we organise lots of tournaments, and then alongside the tournaments, obviously we do the workshops, and the workshop is just an awareness programme to let them know there are better pathways, as I said, and just help them to make the right choices.
I first met Yvonne under some extraordinary circumstances before the last election, and little did I know when I knocked on her door that she was to play a major part in my early political life here in the House of Commons, because you cannot but hear the story of Godwin without realising we had to effect change, and something good must come out of something so tragic that she and her family have been through. And yet in this place we can change laws.
There might be a parent watching you today on the show, and thinking, you know, I also lost my son or my daughter to knife crime. And so what would you advise such a parent, you know, as you have been able to, have you come out of it? Have you healed? Let me ask you first. Have you healed?
Personally, I think I have progress from 2010, and I think I have managed to, by the grace of God, really jump over that hurdle, and I'm able to empower myself to look at things in a positive way.
So what would you tell such a parent?
I think it's very difficult because it depends on where the parent is at and whether they are going through, because you do go through different stages when it does happen, whether they are in denial or whether they're going through the pain. But my advice to any parent that has suffered a similar circumstance, whether it's through knife crime or whether just losing your child, it's just there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and that period will be over, and you always have to look at that light and channel that energy. I know, you know, when it does happen, there isn't any energy, but try and put yourself together and see how you can channel that very, very negative and very sad energy into positive ones. And it can actually make you feel better, and it is a healing for us as well.
Right, when we come back, we know you're running for councillor in your area, so we'll be talking more about it.
Okay, thanks.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. We have Mrs. Yvonne Lawson sharing with us her experience, the experience she's gone through losing her first son, Godwin, and through that she's been able to, or she has founded a foundation in honor of her son and is doing very well, impacting on the youth and all the tournaments that is going on. And now you're running for councillor in your area. So how did that come about, Yvonne?
It's just when Godwin died, you start thinking as a parent or as a mum, all the different things you could do and how you can actually prevent this from happening to other children. And the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to help the community, because I realised helping the community, you actually empowering other parents and empowering other people who are quite unsure on how to bring up their children. And in Africa, we always say it takes a whole village to bring up a child. So going into the community work, I thought was a way that would actually help me to be part of a solution rather than a problem. So running for the councillor, I think, would give me the platform to advocate what I intend to do in a much more powerful way. It can actually give me the platform to spread the message in a wider concept, and I think hopefully people will listen to me and young people can get inspired.
With the foundation doing, you know, impacting great things in the lives of the youth, you know, I got the opportunity to be invited to the House of Commons when you launched it, and you had, you know, Diana, but you had all these great people there supporting you from day one. Were they there for you, or it's just because you sort of?
I think initially when Godwin died, we had support from David Lammy, who's an MP for Tottenham. We had support from Diana Abbott, because I think they felt like they've lost someone who has such a good potential, and they thought they needed to support the family. So they were there when we did a community march. They were there when at the funeral. And, you know, I remember David Lammy saying that, you know, Godwin was such an inspiration and he wanted to support right from the onset. I think in terms of getting all the other MPs involved in it, I think they realise the perseverance that I had, really, that I really wanted to persevere regardless of what hurdles that were alongside. And I suppose they just, I think they saw the aim of the foundation, and I think they had trust that we could actually make a difference.
So any young boy or who wants to come on the program, do you go to schools? How does that work?
Yeah, currently we do go to some schools in Enfield. We're hoping to go to all schools. And we do go to some schools in Haringey as well. And again, we want to go to most of the schools in Haringey. And we have got a criteria that we give to the head teachers. So it will be young boys that are probably got natural leadership skills in them, but need a bit of pampering or a little bit of nurturing, so that they don't really go in the wrong direction, because you realise that gang leaders are very powerful people, and they have got natural leadership skills in them, because if they're able to get all these young people to follow them and do all the negative things, then they have got a skill in them. So what the foundation aim to do is channel that skills that young people naturally have in them in a positive way. So we're tackling the young people at a very young age before they go into the wrong direction, to nurture that leadership skills that they've got in them, that you are a leader and we want you to do well, we want you to go in the right direction, because you could be an MP, you can be a leader of your community. So it's all about channeling that innate skill that they've already got in them, and that is happening in schools at the moment, and the schools gives us the children that we could actually mentor.
You see a young, handsome, intelligent boy from a good home and then end up on the street. What is happening?
I think there are a combination of factors that come together, and I think we just need to look at the whole picture, the whole holistic picture. For example, peer pressure is one that is really, really, what's the right word to use? It's like a magnet, the pressure from their peers, that really draws them to do, it can either draw them to do negative things or positive things. So that peer pressure is one really big factor that influences young people's decisions. So there could be an angel at home and doing all the right things, and their parents might think that they are on the right paths. But when they are outside, when they are with their peers, when they are on their street, they have to leave. Some youth have to leave that to some expectation, and because they want to be part of the group, they sometimes behave in that way. And I think so. Peer pressure is one thing. I think education is another thing. Obviously, some of these young boys, I would say black boys, very intelligent, very smart, and then somehow alongside the path in education, it's either that they've been let down in so many ways.
Let down by who? Their parents, school?
Again, it's a combination. Are parents in tuned with the education system? Do they know what's going on? Do they know what's happening in the classroom? Again, teachers, are they? It's just a whole combination of factors that we need to start addressing, and it's quite a huge area, really. So, as I said, it's education, it's parenting, is peer pressure, is the community. So it's so many different factors that we need to address to make sure that young people are being nurtured or being directed in the right way. So I think it's all about working together. So parents working in collaboration with education, education working in collaboration with parents, education working in collaboration with the community. I think it all correlates together. We need to all work together, because I think that's how communication and information can be transferred quite easily to help the individual children.
So when we come to our community, where families, it's something that we really cherish. And now we see a lot of family breaking up because of, you know, pressure, we can say. What then happens to these kids from broken homes? Where could they go to have that education, that love, you know, because one or two that I've spoken to is the love. They don't have the love, you know. So as you're going to stand for councillor, what are some of the things, and we pray you win.
Thank you.
What are some of the things that you think you can put in place to help our community, especially those youngsters coming from broken homes?
I think the youngsters coming from broken homes, they tend to be big problems in terms of not having really male role models in the house. And I think young men, as they're growing up, I mean, mothers, we've got a role to play, that, you know, but men have got a role to play as well. And I think having both roles coming together helps bring a balanced child. And when there is one role missing, for example, when there is the male role missing from the house, there isn't any role models for that the young people can actually look up to. And sometimes they tend to want to get that, replace it with outsiders. And sometimes that's how they feel like they want to join gangs, because they feel wanted there, and that's their second family, because they might feel loved there. Another thing that we need to address in our community is actually good communication with our young people, and just making sure that we're there for them, we're there to listen to them, and we're there to ask them questions about, you know, when you're out on the street, what happens? When you're out on the bus, what happens? And actually allocating time. I know sometimes it's really busy, and sometimes everybody's tired, but actually allocating time and family time and asking questions and finding out from each other, because sometimes they go through lots of problems. And I remember sort of Godwin talking to me about postcodes and the fact that he can't go to different areas. And as a mum, if I had known what I know now, I would have investigated that a little bit more. What are postcodes? Why can't some young people from different postcodes go to different postcodes? So these are all the things, that information that mothers, fathers, families, community need to kind of empower ourselves with, because the young people do go through a lot, and when they do, they need to be able to share that with somebody that they trust. So I think the love in the house, it needs to be unconditional, and I think young people need to feel that they can trust people, and when they do tell them their problems or their issues, that they can follow that up to another level, and not just say, oh, you know, that's another burden.
I like the fact that you brought up young people feel to be loved, because we live in a generation where everybody's busy. You know, mom is busy, daddy's busy, and so that family time, people would say, Nana will always talk about family time, because, you know, when we were growing up, we had that time, but maybe we've come to the side of the world that one has to work and make ends meet. But as you have just stressed again, it is very important that we sit down with our youngsters and we make time for them, and we listen to them, and we are interested, especially in what they're doing. Because from me being a mum, you know, when I leave the kids and they're doing their thing and I don't even show any interest, that is where they sort of start straying away. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree with you. I think when we do, the less communication we have, I think the more it gives in gaps for people to fill in. So the less we talk to our children, the more outsiders will influence them with negative things. But if we allocate time and sit with them, and then find out, how's your day been? How's your school been? How are you getting on? And actually, one thing as well that I want to address is the fact that we need to know who our children's friends are. I think that's crucially important, because as a parent, I trusted that all Godwin's friends were friends that were up to the same expectation as him. But not really. Young people tend to have different sort of friends. So I think we need to encourage our children, and we need to educate them as to the kind of caliber of friends that they have to engage themselves with, because sometimes it might not just be your child who's in trouble with somebody, but it might be the friends that he's with. And
Okay.
you know, that's exactly what happened to Godwin. It wasn't him, but it was his friends. So I think we need to be very careful, and we need to be in tune with who our children's friends are. Extremely important. Invite them home. Talk to them. Talk to his friends. Talk to them about what they're doing on the street. Talk to them about where they live. And if possible, try and make friends with your children's friends' families as well, so that there's a network. So that when, you know, they tell you that they're going to their friend's house, you can actually make a phone call and make sure that actually, are they actually in Kojo's house, or are they actually in Kofi's house? So then there's a tight network of communication.
So what are the preparations for you as, you know, you running for councillor? What preparations are in place?
Well, I just want to tell the public, vote for me. I'm passionate. I just want to make sure that our community is safe. We want our children to live in a safe environment. So I'm just going to ensure that, you know, safety is my priority. We want our children to live. We want our children to enjoy adulthood. We don't want that privilege to be taken away from them. So we are doing a lot of knocking. We're knocking on doors and we're telling people vote, because I think that's another thing that it's a cultural thing. Loads of people that I've spoken to said they do not vote. And I just want to emphasize, and I want to reiterate, that voting is really important, because if you don't vote, then you haven't got the power and you don't know where your taxes go. You're paying taxes. You want to know where the tax money goes. And you want to be part of it. And the only time you can be part of it is if you vote. So please vote. We will knock on your doors and we ask you to vote for us, because I'm just passionate. I'm just really passionate about the community, and I want to be part of the solution.
Thank you so much. She wants to, you know, make an impact in the community and, you know, be part of the solution, which is very important for us to do. And for Yvonne, who you never thought of being going into this direction.
Never.
But from what you've been through, the circumstances, it's made your line of preference change.
Absolutely.
And it has changed for the better, right?
I think I'm heading towards the right direction.
You're heading towards the right direction. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best. We hope you come back again as a counsellor, and then you tell us how, you know, the experience of a counsellor is, and maybe we get to cover coffee in your office as well.
Oh, that would be great. I look forward to that.
So where can we find more information about the Godwin Lawson Foundation?
If you look up www.godwinlawsonfoundation.co.uk, we've got lots of information. If you want to be part of the Peace Ambassadors, please sign up and we will keep in touch with you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure having Mrs. Yvonne Lawson on the Nana Cheche Show. Make sure you tune in another day for an exciting episode. For more information, go on thenanachecheshow.com. Thank you.